there. So these guys have to work with the administration. Technology is going in a direction, even if he doesn't have a computer on his desk. There's about 300 million people in this country who do, and about 2 billion people around the world. So it's going in a different direction. They're going to learn how to work with this industry.
Yeah, I mean, forget oil. This is our greatest export, and this is the iconic brand that America has to offer, frankly. And I think it would be crazy to not engender better relations, and I'm sure they will. And ultimately, it's going to come down to, I think, setting some parameters for what can be done with offshore workers, what can be done with outsourcing. Because let's face it, a lot of these tech companies operate in Asia, where that's very, very easy to do.
How about what happens with automation? I mean, we've been having this conversation about preserving jobs here in the United States, manufacturing jobs largely, and a lot of critics would say that automation is really the #1 sort of job killer out there. Could we face an environment where Donald Trump picks up the phone for a company using some of these technologies developed in Silicon Valley, saying, hey, you know what? We want to preserve these jobs, not eliminate these jobs because of automation.
That would be a huge mistake. I mean,
yes.
I mean, there's been automation in the history of mankind. There's been automation that is extraordinarily deflationary, and jobs go away because of it. But in the wake of that, jobs are created. It allows people to do bigger and better things. So if you were to go down that path, and this is coming from me, by the way, who was the Luddite of all time, that would be.
But you did work in UPS at one point.
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
Were you outsourced by automation at UPS? You could say it.
A robot's now delivering the packages instead of geek. The robot looks good in the brown, by the way.
I know somewhere in the archives there's made UPS, and I was, as Paris Hilton would say, that's hot. Is it what I think the most impressive thing to me and Melvo is, as critical as he's been on Amazon and Apple, he owned those stocks, which tells you that he can put his ego aside and actually
It had anything to do with it, let's be frank. Okay?
Sure.
The guy's worth $10 billion, but he's got $40 million in stocks, and he's spending every day watching Fast Money. I don't think so. I'll just make one point. I said this last time.
I have no idea where your bitterness is coming from. All I'm saying is the man put it aside and said, you know what, I might be critical, but I can still invest in this company because I think it's going higher.
But so those 3 stocks right there, if they were to join the Trump rally, then the market goes straight up in the new year. If we just, I'm just saying, if we can hold some of the gains, because they have not been participating, they're down.
Tailwinds, baby. Ooh, watch out there, Bear.
Coming up.
Tailwinds.
Used car sales at their highest in years, and Guy is looking to get in on a trade with one auto name. More Fast Money up next.
I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Recently, mortgage rates have dropped to the second lowest level in history. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is all the way down to 4.125%. APR, 4.82%. It's a great time to refinance with Quicken Loans and save hundreds every month. So lock in this ultra-low rate before it goes back up. Call 800-QUICKEN. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Hi, I'm Chris with Cash Call Mortgage. With today's rising home values and low mortgage rates, we're doing refinances with no closing costs that let you pull out tens of thousands in cash. Use that cash to pay off high-interest credit cards, car loans, do things around the house, or anything you want.
My husband and I realized the best low-cost way to get a large chunk of cash was to take advantage of our home's value by refinancing. Chris got us a low-interest rate, and we pulled $50,000 in cash out. We paid off credit cards and a few other things, and the whole process was super easy.
Cash Call Mortgage is designed to save, with great fixed rates with absolutely no closing costs. None. Your house is your bank. So make the cash call now at 877-860-CASH. That's 877-860-CASH.
First Mortgages, Impact Mortgage Corp., DBA Cash Call Mortgage, 1 City Boulevard, Orange, California, 92868, NMLS 128231. Equal housing lender, not licensed in all states, not available in Washington State. Call 855-657-9910 for licensing, terms, and restrictions.
That's 877-860-CASH.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and 3-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now, because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-683-3232 now and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you a copy of The #1 Mistakes Retirees Are Making with Their Investments Today and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-683-3232. That's 800-683-3232. Employees of J.T. Melberg Financial have the appropriate licenses for the products they offer.
This is Sirius XM Satellite Radio.
2 hours of nonstop news, big names, new opportunities. I'm Tyler Matheson with Power Lunch weekdays, 1 Eastern, CNBC Sirius XM 112.
Straight time, Pete.
ArcelorMittal, MT is the symbol here. This thing is going higher. They keep on buying. They keep on stretching out. They went out for June, now huge buying. MT's going higher.
Timbo.
I'm starting to move BBN.
Dan.
Yeah, I agree that gold is probably the beneficiary, the biggest beneficiary of all the things that have gone on so far, but I wouldn't buy it.
One shows the belligerence, but it was generally speaking, because what do you think? Give it a green. Quickly!
Thanks for watching. See you back at around 5. Meantime, Mad Money with Jim Cramer starts right now.
My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Kramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Kramerica. Other people want to make friends, I'm just trying to make you some money. My God, not just to entertain and teach, but also to educate. So call me at 1-800-743-CBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. On a placid day for the market, Dow gaining 36 points, S&P inching up 0.34%, Nasdaq advancing 0.45%. More cracks started to appear in the Trump rally. Don't get me wrong, I still think the president-elect has a very pro-business agenda. It's just more pro some businesses than others. And the list of those others seems to keep growing. Consider the defense sector, which seemed like a no-brainer right after the election, given that Trump wants to buy a lot of new fighter planes and warships. Today, though, I think the story got a little more complicated than that. First, there was this infuriating headline in the Washington Post. Pentagon hid study revealing $125 billion in waste. That's terrible. But as a headline, it's about as surprising as dog bites man, since we all know it's virtually impossible to rein in the defense budget, right? Or maybe not. Because later today, Donald Trump tweeted, and I quote, Boeing is building a brand new 747 Air Force One for future presidents, but costs are out of control. More than $4 billion. Cancel order! End quote. Of course, Boeing disputed that. And they say they've got a $170 million contract to figure out the best way for the president to fly. And I heard a lot of people saying Trump was simply going after Boeing because the CEO said some unflattering things about the agenda on trade with China in today's Chicago Tribune. You know what? That all misses the point. The real issue here is dissuasion. What Teddy Roosevelt called the bully pulpit. Just like what Trump did when he called Greg Hayes, the CEO of United Technologies, to convince him not to move all those jobs down to Mexico. Greg made it clear there was no quid pro quo when we talked to him last night, but he was totally cognizant of his company's $6 billion in defense contracts that could be put at risk. How did he put it again?
I was born at night, but not last night. I also know that about 10% of our revenue comes from the U.S. government. And I know that a better regulatory environment, a lower tax rate, can eventually help UTC over the long run.
So he made a deal he couldn't refuse, right? Well, now it seems to be Boeing's turn. It's hard to say whether there's actually a gigantic overrun, since we don't know where that $4 billion figure comes from. But this isn't some ordinary 747 that they're fitting. It's a literal flying fortress, as opposed to the vulnerable B-17 flying fortresses that Boeing made that were a mainstay in World War II. The next Air Force One is a work of genius, so of course it's expensive. But until today, I figured the cost overruns in military procurement were inevitable. They were like death and taxes. Now, though, there's a chance that could change. I can imagine Trump thinking, hey, I own an airplane. I know what it costs. This is absurd. And just like United Technologies getting on the next president's bad side, it could be a real serious problem for Boeing. They have $18 billion in contracts with the Defense Department. That's nearly 20% of the business. Of course, Trump didn't say or do anything to suggest that those contracts were threatened. But I'm pretty sure Boeing got the message. Maybe they'll roll back the price of the plane. Or maybe this comes to nothing. Either way, it's a brand new risk factor that you need to be aware of if you own the defense stocks. Remember, Trump was elected to drain the swamp in Washington. And the military-industrial complex is about as swampy as it gets. People been warning us about the way too cozy relationship between the government and the defense contractors ever since Eisenhower's incredibly smart farewell address. Maybe Trump's taking his cue from Ike. Maybe he's just fed up. As he said in an interview later, he wants Boeing to make a lot of money, but not this much money. So, what's the impact here? First of all, if you do business with the government, like United Technologies, like Boeing, well, you got to be prepared to pay a little price. There are a ton of wide-body planes out there of big excess. I'm sure Trump, who owns a big plane himself, actually knows this. I don't expect him to take the order away, since the only other company that can build a wide-body jet like this for Air Force One is European Airbus. That would be heresy. But Trump might be sending a message. And if you're part of the overruns, if you're feeding at the public trough, you may have a pay a price. And that price is a better deal on a plane or a tank or a jet engine. To me, that says maybe we shouldn't be paying as much for the defense contractor stocks. These have been red hot. I know they represent great value long term, but enough tweets like this one, and we might regret buying Lockheed Martin up 22%, General Dynamics up 30%, Northrop Grumman up 31%. Even if I'm reading too much into this, and this to do is really about, maybe it really is just nothing about actual military spending, but it's about Boeing and Chinese trade. It's still pretty clear. There's the developing amount of risk to some stocks we thought that were risk-free. Second, though, there's still the upside of the Trump agenda. Companies that are heavily regulated by the government will get more of a free pass under this administration if they provide jobs for the American people. The banks provide jobs both within their business, but more important, with their lending. Donald Trump knows a thing or two about lending. He recognizes that excessive regulation has crimped home building and construction. These companies are going to continue to do better, as are their stocks, even though I saw a tremendous number of downgrades the last few weeks. Downgrades that have been wrong. Don't even get me started on the oil and gas industry. President Obama views fossil fuels, I think, as an existential threat to the entire globe, which is why he just sided with the Dakota Access protesters. President Trump will side with the energy companies, from the drillers to the oil producers to the pipeline builders. He's on the total opposite side of the Dakota pipeline protesters, and I bet he personally rebuked the Army Corps of Engineers officers who blocked him. Now, that's really, I take that back. He just fired him, put it in his own people, and reversed the decision, and then, of course, tweet about it. Sure, there'll be a court case, but next time the federal government is involved in a controversial pipeline approval, which way do you think that's going to go? Finally, I think this whole issue of Trump potentially sending tweets like these from the Oval Office means that we should be paying more of a premium for the classic growth stocks that don't need or want government intervention in order to thrive. Stocks like Netflix. Sure, they won't benefit as much as the cyclicals from an accelerating economy, but we may want to pay a premium for pure growth as long as it doesn't depend on government contracts. In other words, companies that don't need defense money or Medicare money, which could be the next place where we see some blistering tweets, I'd be careful there. Even Brent Saunders from Allergan warned us last week that the next EpiPen controversy could bring tweets from Trump that are far more damaging, and he used this word, vicious, than anything Hillary threw at the industry, including her legendary 2015 tweet about drug companies' alleged price gouging. Oh, and in case you're worried that Trump behavior is unpresidential, you know what you got to do? You got to brush up on your history. When President Truman's daughter sang at a concert and got a scathing review from the Washington Post, Truman wrote the critical letter saying, and I quote, "Someday I hope to meet you. When that happens, you'll need a new nose, a lot of beefsteak for black eyes, and perhaps a supporter glow." End quote. And by 19th century standards, Trump came. Andrew Jackson fought over 100 duels. Actually killed a guy in an argument over a horse race. Kind of puts those tweets in perspective, don't it? Bottom line, it's a brave new world. We got to be careful not to pay too much for those manufacturers that rely on the federal teat. But maybe we should pay more for those that don't. Aaron in Virginia, Aaron.
Booyah, Kramer.
A stutter and booyah to start the show. And what be shaking with you, partner?
Long-time listener, first-time caller. I have a few questions about Arconic.
Okay.
I hold some shares in my Roth IRA, and since the split from Alcoa, Arconic has received its first multi-year contract with Airbus. But just last week, Deutsche Bank issued both Alcoa and Arconic with a sell rating. Is Arconic a good investment for the long term? Also, with the new Trump administration and with peak auto, what effects do you think this will have on the stock?
Okay, I think that Deutsche just really didn't like Alcoa AA. They recommended taking profit because Alcoa has been an incredibly hot stock since that split into two. I agree with that analysis. Remember, Arconic